The Dolphins showed 2 of the money.
$53.1 million per year in new money APY.
The Packers and Jordan Love have agreed to a contract extension.
According to Adam Schefter, the Packers will pay Love $220 million over the 4 years, making him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
There is a flaw in the way that NFL contracts are presented by sports media. Sports media would have you thinking that Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence are the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL based on annual per year average. And based on those numbers, you'd also say that Patrick Mahomes is the 12th highest paid, Josh Allen 13. These numbers are inaccurate. It's an inaccurate way to actually look at what these quarterbacks are making per year. If you'll allow for me to nerd out with you for a few minutes here, we can break down these contracts and get into these numbers, and I can show you what sports media is doing and how they're reporting it, and I can actually show you a better, more accurate way to figure out who is the highest paid, what are they actually making over the next few years. I developed a pretty good method for this, so here we go. Before we get to the content, please be sure to like and subscribe to help the channel grow and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss an upload. This offseason, we've seen some massive reports when it comes to new contracts for high-end marquee type of players. Justin Jefferson reset the market, annual average of $35 million a year, or so it was reported. Trevor Lawrence reset the market with his deal, average of $55 million per year, or so it was reported. What if I told you those numbers are a complete exaggeration and some of them damn near a bold-faced lie? Here's how sports media reports on NFL salaries. So Trevor Lawrence signs a 5-year contract worth up to $275 million. The way that they report his average per year is they take 275, they divide it by 5, the number of years of the contract, and that would give you an average of 55. So that's $55 million per year. And then they'll turn around and write an article talking about how Trevor Lawrence is now the highest paid quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes is now the 12th highest paid by this metric, and Josh Allen is insanely underpaid. And they've got all these beautiful, cute little stories they can write. You can click on their advertising for those websites goes up because people are going to their little sports websites, sports blogs, whatever, right? If we take a deeper look at Trevor Lawrence's contract, you quickly realize there's a flaw in this contract. From 2024 to 2028, Trevor Lawrence isn't going to make more than $47 million in any single year. So how can he be averaging 55? Well, that's because in 2029 and 2030, he's set to make over $78 million and over $74 million, respectively. And that'd be really exciting if this was the MLB, where contracts are fully guaranteed. This is the NFL. Contracts aren't fully guaranteed. In the MLB, this offseason, Shohei Ohtani signed a 10-year, $700 million contract. And really, it's more like a 20-year contract because they actually deferred a lot of that money to 2034. So he's actually going to get paid $68 million a year, 2034 to 2044. And in the meantime, he's going to make $2 million a year. It's all very complicated in the MLB. But bottom line, Shohei Ohtani is going to get $700 million. He's going to get all of that money over the course of the contract, over the terms of the deal. In the NFL, there's no guarantee that Trevor Lawrence is going to get all of the $275 million of his contract. There's no guarantee that's going to happen. In those last 2 years, there's no guarantee he's getting the $150 million of those 2 seasons there. In fact, none of that is guaranteed. In 2029 and 2030, Trevor Lawrence's contract has $0 of guaranteed money. In other words, the Jags at this point in time probably have no intentions of paying Trevor the $78 million season nor the $74 million season. What they're hoping for is that Trevor Lawrence, who's played inconsistent so far, but they're hoping he plays well enough that in 2028, they renegotiate with him, and sure, maybe he'll still get that $150 million, but he'll get it as a part of like a signing bonus or get it as part of the new guaranteed money in his new contract. That's how they'll actually get that money to him if he plays well enough to earn it. But it's also just as likely that Trevor Lawrence doesn't play well, and then the Jags in 2028 go, hey, just so you know, we can either renegotiate for the next 2 years and put you at a rate that we think is a lot more fair, or we can cut you, because cutting you actually costs us $0. They have $0 of guarantees in those 2 years. So with that, and with sports media pretty much always reporting on these things the same way, I wanted to find a more accurate way to report on player salaries. What are these guys actually making? What's the real numbers? That's what we actually care about. I don't want all the fluff of like, hey, here's the Trevor Lawrence deal. He's got these 2 massive years at the end. So, he's making $55 a year. No, he's not. Okay, so what's he actually making? What's everyone else actually making? So the first thing I tried to do is, at first I went, okay, fine, just average out the guaranteed money of the contracts. Well, that quickly proved to be a flaw, because when you do that, you see that, okay, Patrick Mahomes is only guaranteed $14 million on average, but it's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to play well enough that they're not going to cut him. It doesn't matter what's guaranteed and what's not. He's earning all of his contract, right? Short of something insane happening, he's going to get his money. So then I realized that here's the best way to actually look at this. Take each of these contracts, take each quarterback, look at the next 4 years of their contract, or if they don't have 4 years left, just whatever's remaining on the contract. Average that out. Average out what they're going to make over the next 2, 3, 4 years. When you do that, Trevor Lawrence isn't getting half of $55 million a year, which is what was reported. He's getting $22 million a year over the next 4 years. Jordan Love's making $32. Patrick Mahomes is actually making $59, making him the second highest paid behind only Deshaun Watson, who I think 32 GMs in the league, to include the Browns, would all agree that Deshaun Watson's overpaid. So Patrick Mahomes isn't 12th highest paid over the next 4 years. He's second highest paid. When you look at these numbers, some of these guys don't even make the top 12 highest salaries. So that's when I decided to create what I'm calling the Math Report. This channel is called Math, Mike Adams Football. I decided to call it the Math Report. I uploaded it to the Instagram page. It's on the YouTube page and as well as TikTok. I'll drop a link in the comment section. When you break it down this way, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, all deservingly in the top 10. I'd still argue that Josh Allen's underpaid at number 7. That's fine. I'd argue that Daniel Jones is overpaid. But in the report, I did note that if the Giants were to cut Daniel Jones after this season, his average of the life of this contract would have actually only been $31.6 million. So he actually didn't even make into the top 10. Sure, I'd still say that he was overpaid if they end up having to cut him because he doesn't play well and all of that. But that's not nearly as bad as the $40 million a year average that was reported, and way better than the $49 million average over the remainder of his contract. And then you do have to look at the players who don't have 4 years left on their contracts. You know, for Deshaun Watson, all he's got is 3. For Geno Smith, it's 2. For Dak Prescott, the math was really easy to do because he's got 1 year left. He's got this year and that's it. But I wasn't satisfied with just applying this methodology to quarterbacks though, because there's been a lot of wide receiver drama and wide receiver talk over the last several months. And even as I was doing research for this video, news broke that DJ Moore just signed a new massive deal with the Bears. Sports media is reporting that that deal is going to be worth $27 million a year. Unfortunately, all of his contract details aren't out yet, so I can't give you the average over his next 4 and specifically what he looks like on the Math Report. I will once that comes out. I was able to look at all the other receivers in the league, though. Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams are still at the top. That does get a little weird because they have seasons coming up that the Dolphins and the Raiders are probably not intending on actually paying the full amounts that are in those seasons. So I do clarify in the report that if the Dolphins were to cut Tyreek Hill after this season, he'd have only cost them $16.8 million on year average. Adams, in the same scenario, would have only cost the Raiders $16.7 million. I don't actually see a reasonable way that the Raiders do keep Adams beyond this season unless he agrees to renegotiate, because it's going to cost $44.1 million per year over the next 2 years. I don't see the Raiders going for that. Because I do want to push out the accurate numbers of these contracts, and because I do want to give you guys the real details, a real way to look at these things when sports media is pushing out BS that doesn't make any sense, I want to have a place you can go where you can actually see, hey, here's what these guys are actually making over the next 4 years with descriptions and all of that. I will keep pushing these things out as new contracts get reported, so please be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Other than that, thank you for watching Mike Adams Football. I will catch you guys next time. Later.